Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, I know you've heard me say this before. These are all great companies. That's why they're sponsors. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit each one of these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best equipment purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but as an AD, I made sure we were a Huddle school. And our student athletes, our coaches, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Go to huddle.com, join the 100 million fans and users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to thank our good friends at Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities. Home Campus does all of this and more and does it better and faster than the other platforms. Their eligibility and clearance platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com and don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame and Beacon Creative. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but Beacon Creative takes it to a different level. They are a content creation service, and they're going to take your school's data, your history, and come up with compelling narratives that you can then upload to your digital media. You really got to see it to believe it. I want you to email John Townsend, that's John, John, at beaconwalloffame.com. Check them out today, Beacon Creative and Wall of Fame. It's a winning team. We also want to thank Hometown. Hometown continues to be a game changer with their solutions that include things like, well, digital ticketing, of course, but how about athletic website construction, fee-free fundraising, and a whole lot more? Whether you're a principal, an AD, even a coach, Hometown's going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. You're going to find it all at hometown.com. Let's also say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Your school is doing great work. Your athletic department's doing great work, and Gipper's going to help you share it through social media posts, newsletters, and more. It's all in your colors, your brands, thousands of professionally designed templates that you can custom fit for your needs. Go to Gipper.com. As I said, it's professional graphic design made easy. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but my assistant AD did, along with thousands of others. And while they were earning their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We also want to say thanks to our newest sponsor, Booster Hub, the #1 booster club software program. You need boosters that can deliver results, not headaches. And if you've got a weak system, along with volunteer turnover, that can leave your program vulnerable. But Booster Hub takes care of that. Sponsorship payments, meal plans, concession sales, now it all flows through their secure system. They also handle communication, volunteer scheduling, spiritware sales, and all of this allows your boosters to support you as fans. And isn't that what you want? Your boosters deserve and need boosterhub.com. That's boosterhub.com. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys. You know, at my school, we use surveys for everything, for student athletes, for coaches, even for parents. And the data that would come back on these surveys, almost always over the top positive. And having that positive data was incredibly valuable, especially if you're visiting with a frustrated parent, sometimes your principal, sometimes even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. podcast.com. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. Regular listeners to the podcast will certainly recognize today's guest, Brittney Scott from East River High School here in Orlando, Florida. We had Brittney on, I guess this past summer, just did a great job with an interview. She is extremely involved with school, with our state association, and with a lot of other things. She's also a certified athletic administrator. Brittney Scott, welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast.
Jake, man, thank you so much for having me back on this platform again, man. I can't thank you enough for the kind words. And man, it's been crazy since I did the podcast the first time, man. I think that's everything about your platform. But again, I'm so humbled. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, absolutely. And again, I'm very selfish. I only want the very best guests on the podcast. And so you certainly check all those boxes. For our listeners, we're recording this on January 22nd. It's, winter season in Florida, but guess what? In Florida, we already have spring sports that are practicing and getting ready. So it's one of the busiest times of the year for an AD. So Brittney, thanks again for sharing. What do you have for our listeners on this segment of Wednesday Wisdom?
So I know that everybody that listens to it, because I know he's in a bunch of countries and all over and stuff like that. So we could have had a great conversation about spring sports, but I don't think everybody would understand what goes on in Florida. But something that's been on my mind as I do exit meetings from fall and obviously winter is about to wrap up is evaluating coaches beyond wins and losses, which is very important in the seat that I sit in, as well as other athletic administrators as well.
Yeah, and it is such a great topic. And, in talking, a lot of times with parents, the coach is losing, the team's not winning, we need a new coach. And yeah, we all want to win, but, we've found, I think, and I think you would agree with me, that winning, it's kind of a byproduct of doing a lot of other things right. And it's not the sole evaluation, particularly for high school sports. So what do you have to share with our listeners?
So one of the biggest things that I wanted to start with is kind of to piggyback off what you just said is why wins and losses don't tell the whole story. So prime example, sometimes the coaching pool these days, a lot of our veteran coaches are choosing not to coach anymore, or retiring out, or things of that nature. So you're bringing on somebody that's young in their career, where they're just trying to establish themselves and see if they can actually take over a program, because one, they probably played the sport, they were either pretty good, played in college, and now they want to take that leadership role. And you got to give those coaches time. I call it the grace period. Usually you can't judge a program depending on the sport until after that second or third year, where in the first year they've established themselves, second year you establish culture, third year is when I feel like you start to win and the changeover happens. So for a lot of our parents, sometimes, like you said, it's a microwave success kind of society where they want to win right now. And if we don't win right now, we're going in the high school transfer portal, which is very prominent for a lot of us right now. And it's a matter of giving people the time to establish a culture. If I were to get a coach and I give them the keys to a Maserati because I had a veteran coach that established culture, it's easy to win that way. But when you've got to pick up a program and establish that Pinto or that hoopty, so to speak, and get it to Maserati status, that's effort, that's time, that's knowing your kids, knowing your audience, what makes them tick. So I think people got to give people a lot more grace, because coaches are not falling off the trees to take over sports like they used to when I was coaching. So it's definitely an aspect of, hey, what can I do to help from my seat to bring this coach along? Because the caveat to that is a lot of these coaches quit if they don't have success, if they're not supported. So it's definitely a two-way street where we have to do that. So that's just one of the hot topics. I wanted to bring up that first caveat is, hey guys, if we don't win, is the program established? Is there player development happening? Is your student excited and happy to be a part of that team, whether they're winning or losing? That's how you evaluate coaching. And that's what I do in my exit meeting sometimes. If I have a particular sport that didn't have a great year, but all of the kids are coming up to me and saying, hey, coach, I PR'd in this, or hey, coach, I had the most goals in this game in my career, and they're excited despite the wins and losses, that has to translate to the parents to understand, hey, we're building something here that's worth your child sticking around for. So I don't know how you feel about that early part, Jake, but
no, well, you just recited, 3 or 4 pages out of my own book as an AD. I would tell coaches when we were hiring them, And this was varsity, JV, down to middle school too. This is our philosophy. This is who we are. But I would say, you could win every single game, and I fire you the next day, or you could lose every single game, and we are celebrating like you just won the Super Bowl.
Correct.
We want to
Correct.
see those things you just talked about. We want to see kids that are being coached, that are being taught fundamentals, that are
Yeah.
being, encouraged, that are being quote coached.
Correct. Yes.
We
Yes.
want to hear things from student athletes. Boy, what a great season. Boy, I can't wait until next year. Boy, I wish we had 3 or 4 more games. You
Mhm.
hear those types of things and you've got the right coach in there. Doesn't mean they're
Absolutely.
perfect, doesn't mean they can't still get better,
Right.
but you know this when we're hiring, and you mentioned it, we're not replacing a Hall of Fame coach.
Correct.
Typically
Correct.
we're replacing because we need some help, and
Correct.
the other coaches decide to leave or whatever. So that coach of the year is not going to walk through your door, but
Absolutely.
with some encouragement, with some support, with some mentoring,
Yep.
20 years down the road, they might be walking out as a Hall
That's
of
totally
Fame
agree. I
coach.
agree.
Mm.
I agree. So my topic is kind of like a two-way street because obviously veteran ADs like yourself, Jake, that's been around the block, you know what you're looking for. You also know like what development you have to do as a coach to develop that coach as well. That's important. I have a heart for new athletic administrators because with the way things are changing, sometimes it feels overwhelming to do our job because there's so much expectations. It's a lot of stuff that go beyond, hey, I hired a coach, hey, I have a schedule, hey, I have the buses, hey, I have the officials. But when you got to talk to parents and try to find ways to fundraise and all that kind of good stuff. So I say that to say a lot of athletic administrators got to do the same thing when it comes to their coaches. You got to take that time to develop them as well, or else you're going to be in the hiring cycle continuously. And I don't think that's fair to us because we got a lot of stuff going on, especially if you're in Florida, when it comes to all these spring sports. So that's one side to it, and then that kind of develops me into the part of the player development aspect. Wins and losses, like I said, we just talked about it at nauseum about how that's such a focus for everybody now. But one of the things that's helped me in my career, even as an athletic administrator, I won't even go back to my coaching days, is somebody took the time to develop me. Somebody took the time to say, hey, Brittney is somebody that's probably the next thing up, or she has a light that I might not have seen in myself. And I always tell people, don't forget how you got to where you are. So now if I go back and go to my coaching days, my story a little bit for people that don't know, I was one of the youngest head coaches in Broward County history. I got my first head job at 21 years old. And I say that to say somebody looked at me and said, I see something there. Let's develop that. So with our coaches today, man, they can't forget about developing your future. A lot of these sports, sometimes there's kids these days that they're trying new sports. They want to see if they can find a niche. The thing about specializing in a sport is not as prominent anymore as it used to be. So kids are trying everything now. And with the big splash, I use a sport, flag football. Flag football on the girls' side is blowing up everywhere.
Mhm.
We've had it in Florida established a little bit, but now everybody wants to play it. That takes time. That takes development. Colleges now are starting to offer scholarships for flag football. You know what I mean? So it's player development is the lifeline. When I was coaching in college, the rule of thumb that we had was new blood is your lifeblood. And that just to say is every time you get somebody that signs and commits, you better have two more that's coming behind it, or else you're gonna lose your job in the college rank. So player development in high school sports is huge, man. And I know there's trainers everywhere. Everybody's a skilled person. Everybody knows all their stuff. And I don't knock it. Hey, you got to do what you have to do. But player development is so important these days for these kids to know and want to stay around to build something. That's how you build leadership outside of the classroom. That's how you build life skills because they've got to be able to stick something out. And a story, real quick, Jake, you can appreciate this. I've been at East River. This is my fourth year here, and my wrestling program has been solid every single year that I've been here. My coach is an East River alum, so he knows this culture. He graduated from here, so it's a little bit different for him when he came back to coach. I know he's gonna hate this when he watches this, but Anthony Gilbert is my head boys wrestling coach here at East River High School, and this year they just won their district championship in district duels. We've been close. We've knocked on the door. But again, it's something that this guy has established because he's grinded and these kids want to be here. They want to prepare for him. So we find when he called me and said we won it, I'm the happiest person in the room. I probably was more excited about him because I know the work that he put into it, man. So that's just some of the stories that makes my job a little bit easier when there's a million things going on in my world and all that kind of stuff. So those things, and he's developed. He's in there he does club. He brings on the little ones. We're trying to establish something in elementary schools and all those kind of stuff. So those coaches, for me, I cherish those things because those things are important. And I want to say, I'm sorry, I'm at class change. I'm at school, so the music is playing in the background. So forgive me, listeners, if you hear that. But that just goes back to say, man, culture and character is what happens when you do things right. It happens organically. It happens naturally, man. So definitely wanted to shout that out as a product of we actually do that. And I've seen it because sports isn't dead in that aspect.
But again, it's such an important point. And, we talked about this earlier, the championships, it's nice. And we all want to win. We all want to, be able to hang that banner or have that celebration. But people looking from the outside, they don't see those 4 years of, getting kids to sign up and come to practice and then come back to practice that second day, especially for a sport like wrestling, building the teams, being in that position where a kid can play sixth the district and score some team points. And then next year, we do a little bit better. And as you said, knocking on the door and getting close. All of those steps don't happen if after one season you just say, "Oh, you didn't win, coach, you're out of here," and you try something else. And then it's usually repeating that cycle year after year after year. So no, it's an overused word, but it's overused because it's true. The process really does matter.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I truly believe that. And like I said, you can't get away from old cliches because they're old because they work. I've learned that in my short time, doing different things. Those things work. You just got to put your own little niche on it and see how you can make it different. So like I said, man, those are things that I know just pop up in my head as far as like, it's so many things that go on in this seat and in this job that we can talk about ad nauseum. But some of the things you just got to find what's passionate with you. And honestly, if I'm cheating the system a little bit, I don't want to continuously hire coaches. I want to have people around that want to develop and want to build and want to be here for the long term. So these kids have something to look forward to so that the kids want to stay. You know what I mean? If coaches are leaving left and right, the kids are going to leave left and right. Well, they're doing that anyway, but somebody's got to stay here for the ones that want to be here and want to be a part. And those, like I said, those are things like that. And then the next part that goes into that I want to tell young administrators as well as coaches, your communication matters. How you talk to kids when your athletic director isn't around, how you talk to parents when they want to communicate concerns. Those are things for me at my high school those are things that get you in trouble more than wins and losses. I could care less, honestly, about wins and losses in that aspect if I don't have parents beating down my door because they can't get a communication from a coach or their kid doesn't feel safe or their kid doesn't feel secure. Those type of things for me, you could have won a state championship for me. If a parent doesn't like how you're operating the program and it's warranted, there's facts there. Like you said, you could win every game and you'll be fired tomorrow because those aspects, communication matters. It matters whether you like the parent, don't like the parent, you don't agree with what they say. The biggest thing that I can say, key word right here, guys, just listen and nod and worry about what you're going to do later. All right. Because listening, I think, and it happened to me too early in my career. You got to listen to understand and have them voice their concerns, and you'll massage it on the back end. But if a parent feels heard, that saves you 2 more years on your career with that particular school or that particular sport because they know that you care. So I don't know if you've had stories like that where parents are just tearing you up about a certain situation and you find out the coach isn't communicating, and that just leaves you, well, hey, I got to find somebody that at least communicates. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we love talking about tools on the podcast. That tool, the tool of listening, I did not have that early in my coaching career. I got this, parents, you just stay in your own lane.
Right.
And when I started, that was a long time ago. You could maybe get away with that a little bit, but no, when I finally learned, as you said, to just listen, let them vent. Most parents, I found, they're not out to sabotage their kid. They're really not out to, do the school or the coach or the AD harm, But
Mhm.
a lot of parents, they wear their emotions on their sleeve and they're not shy about sharing it and just letting them vent and then coming back with, well, hey, I really appreciate you coming in and talking. I heard what you have to say. This is how we're going to move forward. And
Yep.
99 times out of 100, you're not going to change what you're doing unless
Right.
unless you or your coach is doing something wrong. And then that's another
Right.
key thing. If you or your coach, if your coach misspoke or did something, you got to own it. You got to say, hey, I'm
Correct.
sorry. That's not who we are. It won't happen again. And then make sure that coach understands that too.
And that's huge too, man. And I love that you brought that up because it happens to me in my everyday life, not even work life, personal life. We're human. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We just have to own it. If you own it early and stop trying to maybe avoid or find the right words to make them feel better, just own it. Because once I own it, I disarm you because what else can you say when I say, "Hey, I made a mistake?" So that's a key thing too, and I'm glad you brought that up because a lot more people have to understand making it mistakes is how you grow. It's how you learn. You know what I mean? So if you own it early, man, a lot of parents are more like, okay, well, let me turn the venom down a little bit and let's have a conversation now because once I feel hurt and I know we both agree you made a mistake, we can have a different conversation now because I think we're on the same page. So again, man, it's a lot of stuff that people when you grow up and all those old wives' tales that you've heard from your family or that favorite aunt or uncle or that favorite coach that you've had, once you get older, man, it serves true. And a lot of our kids today, they miss out on some of the things that we got that helped us build our armor. You know what I mean? So again, that's another part that goes into it. Besides the wins and losses, kids need help developing into people. They genuinely need that help. And again, wins are all is all great, but if I'm not developing as a person, I can't go out into society and be the next coach that hopefully a Brittney Scott can hire when I'm in my fifth school and I'm 25 years in because you don't have the skills that you needed that you should have learned while you were playing that sport or around that coach. So that's definitely important too. So I'm glad you kind of piggybacked for me and kind of brought that up, which is great.
We've talked about, working with coaches, helping coaches. What are some things that you have done with your coaches on staff to, help them get through that first year and not just survive, but thrive and be excited about coming back for year 2 and 3?
So one of the biggest things that I do that I also allow my coaches to hear and see me very well is I will support you no matter what's going on if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Point blank, period. And I say that to say is most of the time the support isn't there. So when you feel like you're on an island, plus you got parents barreling down on you, or you're not winning and the kids are, messing up in school or whatever the case may be, there's a multitude of things all of my coaches here know I've got your back. You just worry about coaching, and I'm going to coach the coach when it comes to development aspects. So, again, I've had some situations with even some of my veteran coaches. I have veteran coaches here that's been coaching longer than I've been alive, but we also come to a common ground, whereas they still know that I'll support them as well because coaching for them is a little bit different. Kids are a little bit different on how that looks like. So, having developmental conversations with my coaches, being present during their season. If they need me to, my phone's always ringing. So if they need to bend my ear on how to approach a parent situation or a kid situation, have a conversation, I'm available for that. But one of the key things that I do is having exit meetings with all of my sports once they get out of their postseason, once their season's over officially with postseason, because that gives you a chance to kind of reflect. I have some points that I may have jotted down during the season that I want to go over, but tell me what you need. And one of the questions that I always ask that I'm not afraid to hear the answer is, how can I help you better for next year? Because if I ask you that question and you say, "Hey, Britt, I'm good. I appreciate all your support." Well, now I'm going to expect a lot more from you as we grow into that next year. But if it's, "Hey, Britt, I need you to be more present. Hey, I need more support on this." I'm growing too. I'm willing to listen, and my coaches are the lifeblood of my athletic department because I can't do this job without them. I can't coach 35 sports. You know what I mean? I'm tied to one, but having that open dialogue where my coaches can evaluate me and say, "Hey, Britt, I need this or we need to do this better." I'm willing to listen. So that word comes up again. Even in this seat, I'm not too afraid to roll up my sleeves, excuse me, and be a servant leader. So all my coaches know that. They know that I would go to bat for them. If you have an early communication with a parent, and they're still down your neck, I always tell them, you initiate the conversation. Once it gets to a certain point, now it's in my wheelhouse. I got your back from here. Just let me take over it. So being supportive is honestly, I think that's one of my strongest sets that my coaches know. Just go coach. Just do what you need to do to develop these kids, and everything that's extra that you can't handle, I'm right there to have your back.
Again, great stuff, great tips. We talked about parents kind of indirectly so far. What's your philosophy with communicating everything that you and I just talked about, which I think our listeners would agree are best practices? How do you communicate that to the parents? And again, I think most parents get it, but for that small percentage that don't, do you do preseason meetings? Are you there with the coaches? How do you try to get that culture across and then reinforced?
So what I do a little bit of both. So if I have a new coach, first year coach or first year at East River, their parent meeting I'm present for. Just because they don't know everything about our culture yet. They haven't established themselves. So those when they're peppered with questions for my newer coaches, I'm there for those just so they see my face and my parents know who I am because they may be new to East River or anything like that, but I'm present. If I have a more seasoned coach that's been around, I'm not present at that meeting, but the parents know that they can reach out to me if they need to on a question that's maybe bigger than the coach at that particular time if it comes to the department as a whole. So I'm present when I need to be. And I also will say is I always tell my coaches, we have a kind of a unwritten district rule or it could be a life rule for everybody. You always want to respond within 48 to 72 hours, no matter what the email is. I always want to respond just to know, hey, I received your email. I'm looking into the situation or whatever the case may be. So I tell my coaches the same thing. A lot of coaches sometimes go, well, Brett, I finished practice and this is my family time, which I get. And that's important to me too. But sometimes you get that one parent that their family time is to disrupt yours, where you still got to have that response and have that conversation. So just being formidable within 48 or 72 hours saying, hey, mom or dad, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I'm in the office unless it's something pressing. Communication has to be open because again, a lot of these things that I can't do without my coaches can't be as successful if they don't have supportive parents. It kind of goes hand in hand. So sometimes the relationship goes a little awry, but we all got to meet in the middle and kind of have something that works out for everybody so everybody feels comfortable. So I
Right.
appreciate that question because that's important as well.
Well, I'm curious on your thoughts on this one. I shared this on a recent podcast. My boss at the McClay School, who's the best boss I ever worked for, the school up in Tallahassee before I retired, he shared with us a tip, if you will. When you get that 16 paragraph email, from a parent that's ranting in 9 different directions, there's just
Yes.
where do I respond? He said
Right.
he said, don't respond to it. Don't reply to the email because, again, the message is there's nothing you can reply to. His
Correct.
suggestion, call them up. We were at a private school. We had everybody's cell phone. So
Mhm.
you call that parent up, hey, Bill or Mary, I just got this email. What's up? And
Right.
again, most of their venting was done when they sent that email. And you look at the timestamp; it's 2:38 in the morning.
Right. Right.
So they've already got that vent out, and so usually the conversation was a little bit calmer and maybe
Yes.
a little more focused. But it was that quick response, like you just alluded to, and it was voice to voice. It was even faster than saying, "Hey, can you come in to my office and we can talk about it?" That might not happen for a couple of days, or might not happen at all. But that phone call, he just felt was the best way, and I started using that after he suggested, and almost every single time it was just very successful at hearing their concern. And again, it's mostly a vent, but it removed what you were talking about. Hey, the coaches never get back to me, or that AD, he never responds.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I totally agree. And a lot of things, this is a life lesson that I live by. A lot of things get lost in translation in text or email, because you can't hear tone. You don't know the context of what they're saying. You can read it, and then I get my own opinions based on what I'm reading. But then when I get you on the phone, we both have the same tone. We both can talk through the situation. So I totally agree with that. That's a great tip and a great tool on this side of the podcast that we're doing that. Hey, when all else fails and you're not getting across, let's say you responded to that email and the parent sends you back another 5 paragraph email. Now we got to disconnect, pick up the phone. Hey,
Hmm.
tell me what you're feeling or come to the office, schedule an appointment. But I definitely agree with that because, like I said, a lot of things gets lost in translation in tone because I can't hear your words. I don't know if they're targeted at me, at my coach, at your kid. Does your kid want playing time? Is it, all the multitude of things that sometimes parents come with us with? Pick up the phone and let's have that conversation. But I will
Hmm.
say, some coaches and even ADs today, you can't be afraid to do that. That's huge for us in this world too, because sometimes, I dread certain ones. I dread that phone call or, oh man, I know what this one is coming. But sometimes we got to put on, we're in these seats for this reason. We're the face of these schools for a reason. You got to pick up the phone sometimes and make those phone calls. And again, a lot of times, in my case, I'm going to be a little bit selfish. I have an amazing boss too. I got the best boss in Orange County, probably the best principal known to man. But my biggest thing is I want to keep things off of her desk when it comes to athletics if I
Exactly.
can avoid it. 100%. So if I can call that parent and we have a conversation and it's smoothed over, and when they see my principal at the next game, they goes, "Hey man, I talked to Coach Scott. Everything's good. Thank you." Hey man, I did wonders for my own career because it keeps it off her desk because she has a million things going on anyway. So that's one of my rules of thumb sitting in the seat is what can I do to keep it off of my principal's desk? Can I take care of the situation before that email gets to her? And now it's an even bigger situation because now we got to have a meeting with her and the parent. So that's huge. Great advice from your boss when you were at the McClay school, man. Just pick up the phone when all else fails. If it doesn't work, hey, call me. Sometimes that's your response. Call me.
And again, we don't, as ADs, we have no idea how many things do cross our principal's desk that we
Agreed.
never hear about because the
Agreed.
principal, a good principal, or in my case, a head of school, they're going to
Yep.
handle it. And typically is, well, did you talk to Brittany yet? Did you talk to Jake? No.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you need to go talk to the athletic director. This is an AD problem, this
100%.
is an AD concern. Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing is, most of the time, my first thing is, hey, did you talk to the coach yet? No, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had a chance to. Oh, okay. Well, hey, do that first. And if it doesn't work out, hey, you have access to me anytime, no
Yep.
problem. But that's a part of development. I don't want to step on somebody's toes when they either one haven't had a chance to establish what they want to do, or two, you didn't give them a chance to establish what they want to do next. You just called me, which is totally fine too. I'm not saying a parent can't reach out to me,
Mm-hmm.
but give these coaches a chance to kind of develop that and build their program and establish, hey, these are conversations that I want to have. Hey, I might want to partner with my AD and have that conversation, which is okay too. So it's all about, and again, sometimes people, certain situations, you don't have much of a chance to get a chance if you kind of get what I'm saying. But if you have those opportunities, man, you got to cherish those moments because sometimes these days you got to do what you can to save what you want to do and how you want to do it, which is very important, man. So I totally 100% agree. All else fails, pick up the phone.
Oh, I love it. Great stuff. Brittany, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more, find out how you do things at East River, or just add you to their network, and listeners, you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that they can get in touch with Brittney Scott?
Easiest way to get in touch with me is by email. So again, I'm gonna say it so if everybody has it. My first name is Brittney, Brittney .Scott, SCOTT @OCPS.net. Easiest way to get in contact with me is by email. Like I said, I cherish my own rules. So between 48 and 72 hours, you'll hear from me. And then obviously, anything I can do to help anybody, man, I'm always willing. I'm young in this game too. But again, there's a lot of us that need to help each other push this thing forward with a lot of things that's happening, particularly in my state. So again, across the nation, anybody that needs my help, feel free. I'm definitely an AD that you can have in your toolbox that can always help.
No, no, absolutely. Reach out to Brittany Scott, add her to your network. Brittany, thanks again for sharing during this busy time for ADs. All the best as 2026 continues to roll out. And if nothing else, I'll look forward to seeing you at the FIAAA conference in May.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Jake, so much again, man. And thank you so much as an AD that just bought your fourth edition book. Thank you for having this platform for us and also being a resource that we can reach out to. Because, like I said, you're a veteran in this game, and we need more people that's willing to pick up the phone that have the knowledge that you have. So, thank you. I'm humble. So, thank you so much for being in my network.
Oh, no, no, right back at you. And thanks for the shout out for the fourth edition, which your toolbox tips are part of.
Man, that's the first time, man. I feel important. So, I appreciate. Hey, I get that from you. So, Jake, thank you so much, man.
For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Wednesday Wisdom just about every week, and just about every day we try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Wow, Brittney Scott, one of the bright new voices of our profession. Make sure you connect with Brittney Scott, East River High School, Orlando. Also, make sure you connect with our sponsors. Now, these are great companies, great resources. If you're not using them, check them out. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com for more information. Hometown, digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and a lot more. Go to hometown.com. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Earn your degree and also complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses. That's Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Gipper, turn your program into a social media magnet. Promote your teams, your coaches, your whole department. Go to Gipper.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Athletic surveys. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your program, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Booster Hub is the #1 Booster Club software program. Find out all the ways that they can take your Booster Club to the next level. Home Campus. It's a platform you'll use every day. Scheduling, rosters, results. Go to homecampus.com. And Beacon Creative, Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Beacon Creative is a content creation platform. You really need to see it to believe it. Check out Beacon Creative, Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.